Alrighty, I am back here with another special update. This one is on property valuations. Seems like all the special updates are coming really fast and furious right now. Anyways, property valuations, very popular topic, and by popular I mean everybody's very, very upset. Let's talk about it. So, property valuations are done every 2 years. So what happened is you received a little piece of paper in the mail. It said your property value has skyrocketed. The average home has increased in value 41.74% across the Front Range in the last couple of years. So kind of mind-boggling appreciation figures. And appreciation is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you have more equity, you have a lot more net worth. On the other hand, your taxes are going to be higher. So, double-edged sword. Yay, values are higher. Boo, taxes are higher. We are never happy, it seems. Anyways, so as you know, we've seen a dramatic increase in values, and people are wondering, how is this going to impact my property taxes? Well, some good news and bad news. So, good news is your property taxes will not be increasing right now. Okay, so right now the taxes are not increasing. People are like, I just got my escrow analysis in April. It shows me what my payment's going to be in June. Am I going to get another escrow analysis now that my taxes are going to be increasing even further? The short answer is not right now. The next escrow analysis will be done this time next year. That new payment will go into effect June 1st of 2024. So no immediate changes to your payments are due. Okay. However, you need to start planning accordingly because your taxes will be going up. And how that works is the property valuations are done every 2 years, odd years. January 1st of 2023 is the date that they say this value is accurate. Okay. Now, they actually have to backdate the data that they look at to June of last year. So they're looking at kind of the peak market of last year, which may come into play in a little bit here. Okay. So the reason they have to backdate it a little bit is because they can't look at data up until December 31st and then decide. It's just too much data to crunch at one time. They need a little bit more runway to be able to process everything. Okay, so that's the process with regards to actual property valuations. Now, here's the calculation. Strap in. This is a little bit more technical than I like to get on these, but I need you to know because it impacts you in your pocketbook directly. Okay, so hang tight. We'll take it nice and slow. I'll walk you through an example. Don't stress. All right, so what you're going to need, if you're playing the home game, we're going to need two things. One is your property tax bill. You receive that at the very beginning of the year, January 1st. That's when everybody calls me saying, hey, I just got a tax bill. Am I supposed to pay it? No, mortgage takes care of it most of the time in your escrow. Second thing you're going to need is your property valuation. That's the form you just received that showed how much your values have increased. If you don't have either of those handy, you can also pull them up on the county website. County of Boulder, County of Denver, whatever the case may be, you can actually pull up both of those forms there. Okay. Now your tax bill is going to be outdated. Your tax bill is going to be for the previous year, but it's going to come into play. We're going to look at why. And then your property valuation is what is your value as of January 1st. Okay. So here's the equation that the county does when they actually determine what your taxes are going to be. They look at the actual value. The actual value. If you're looking at your valuation form, it is the current actual value. It is the updated estimate of what the county thinks your property is worth. Okay. We're then going to subtract out the value adjustment. I'm going to get to that on the next slide. We'll circle back, I promise. They're then going to multiply that by the assessment rate. The assessment rate actually reduced. Yay! Thanks to the state legislature that passed last year. Going to look at that as well. But the new tax rate is 6.765. So that means of your value, of your valuation as a whole, the county is only assessing you taxes on 6.765% of it only. We are then going to determine from there what the assessed value is. So actual value minus the value adjustment, I'll talk about that in a second, times your assessment rate, 0.06765, equals the assessed value. We're then going to take that assessed value and we're going to multiply it by the mill levy. What is mill levy? I get questions on that all the time. My wife actually just recently asked me, what's mill levy? I'm a teacher and they always talk about mill levies. Mill levies is assessing of property taxes. The word mill actually comes from the Latin word mil, M-I-L, which means 1,000. Okay, so the mill levy is you pay $1 per 1,000 of the valuation. That would be for 1 mil. So 1 mil equals $1 per 1,000 of the assessed value. Okay. When we do all this equation, we get the actual amount of taxes due. If you're confused, I don't blame you. It's a lot of information. I'm going to give you an example in 2 slides, which is going to clarify everything, I hope. Okay. So before I get to that, so as I mentioned, a bill was passed last year through the state legislature, SB 22-238, very fancy name. It reduced the assessment rates. I mentioned that the assessment rate was reduced to 6.765. That went into effect because of this specific bill that passed. Okay. In addition, they passed a one-time 2023 specific adjustment to the value. They decided that they are going to reduce those values, specifically this current actual value, by $15,000 if it's residential or $30,000 if it's commercial. Why did they do this? Were they just being generous? Not quite. They knew what was going to happen with property taxes. They knew everybody was going to have some real significant sticker shock when they received those valuations. And based on the number of calls I've received in the last week and a half, they were correct because people have been calling hot and heavy. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of value increases. People are understandably very concerned. Okay, so one-time value adjustment. Now that is not a, hey, we got to reduce your tax bill $15,000. I'm sorry, not quite as good as that. They simply would take the 308,900, subtract out the value adjustment, $15,000, and then start with that multiplied by the assessment rate to determine the assessed value. So it's not quite as good, even remotely close to $15,000 as a whole. It just reduces your value by that amount. Now, positives, this is the first tax reduction we've seen in property rates in 40 years. It passed unanimously through the state legislature. Everybody was a fan of it because they knew we were going to have so much more property tax income coming through. It was done to make sure that homeowners were not going to get priced out of their homes. It certainly helped a little bit, but you're also going to see when I get to the next slide, it's still going to be a pretty substantial increase for most households. Now, a couple big notes. If your property is sitting in Boulder County, when you got this valuation and they said, hey, look, this is your estimated tax bill, they did already take into account the $15,000 value adjustment. If you are in any of these other counties, and we called them all physically, thank you to my assistant Kat for doing so. We called every single one of these counties, and they do not reflect that $15,000 adjustment in their calculations. When we asked them why, they kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit, but basically they said, look, there's more stuff potentially on the docket in November. We're just not sure. The mill levies might be adjusting. The tax rate might adjust even further. There's also some talk about them increasing the value adjustment, which would be good for homeowners because it would reduce their tax liability more. So they said, hey, look, until we know what those numbers are, we say estimated. We figure that's going to cover our you-know-whats. So that's kind of the logic behind it. Boulder already takes that into account. The other counties that we called did not. Okay, so if you're in one of those other counties, make sure that you're taking that into account. You're probably going to get a little bit more accurate basis for your property taxes. Okay, all right, so let's look at the actual example. So again, actual valuation minus the value adjustment. So in this case, it's the 308,900, which is our actual value, minus the $15,000, times the assessment rate, which is in Colorado, state of Colorado, 0.06765, equals $19,882.34. That means my property tax bill is based on $19,882.34. It is not based on the 308,900. It is based on this lower figure. Okay, critically important. From there, we're going to multiply that by the mill levy. Now, again, it's $1 per mill levy per mill per $1,000. So we need to move this decimal point over 3 spots. 1, 2, 3. When I do that, I get 0.093932. So now I can take my assessed value times, move it over 3 decimal points, 0.093932, and I get $1,867.59. That is a 17.8% increase in my property taxes. That's actually fairly generous. Not that I'll be telling the county that. A lot of properties have been seeing significantly higher adjustments. Okay, so that is the equation that you're going to do. If you pull out your property valuation, you can get the first few pieces. If you pull out your tax bill, you can get the mill levy, which is this critically important piece right here. From there, you can figure out what your estimated taxes are going to be. Now that you know that, you can start paying additional money to escrow if you want to. You can start setting the money aside so that when you get that escrow analysis and you say, hey, you're short, you actually have the funds on hand to go ahead and cover that shortage. And the most common question I'm getting right now is, how in all that is holy do I contest my valuation? Okay. So number one thing you're going to do is you're going to search for the county assessor for your county. Okay. I did a couple pull-ups online real fast so I could show you where that is. First one I did Boulder County. They make it very obvious how to appeal your property values. Okay. For City of Denver, I literally typed in City of Denver assessor. And then when the website comes up, scroll down a little bit, protest property values. They make it rather obvious to go ahead and contest your value. Okay, so that's all you need to do. Type in into your search bar, county assessor for your specific county, and then look for the protest property values. They're going to have you open up an account. Okay, they're going to have you create an account. They're going to ask you for some information from your tax bill, so you're going to want that handy for that purpose as well. Follow the online appeals process. Be prepared to provide comparable sales. If you ever see the term comps, C-O-M-P-S, that's simply short for comparable sales. They're looking for other properties that are sold that might support a different value. Now, how do you get these comps? Your real estate agent. Your real estate agent, your real estate agent, your real estate agent. Trust me, they would be happy to hear from you. And everybody hears me say that and they're like, nah. I'm like, trust me, they are. They're in sales. They like to talk to people. They like people. This is what they do. And honestly, if you reach out to them, they know that you're thinking of them. And we all like that regardless of the industry we're in, especially the case with real estate agents and lenders. If you do not have any comps and you try to contest your value, you could still theoretically be successful. You'd be obviously arguing that the comps that they did use were superior in quality to your inferior home. It's just going to be a lot less successful. So ask your real estate agent for comps. Again, I'm sure they'd be happy to help you. It's the easiest way to get the information that you're going to need. They got their ear to the railroad tracks. They know exactly what's coming. They know where things are. It's the exact right person to talk to. So I hope this helps some. If you have any additional questions, and I'm sure you will, I did my best to try to kind of take away some of the shroud of mystery on all this, but I know it's a very complicated subject. So if you do think of anything else, please let me know. Always happy to help. Like I said, we all like hearing from you. So thank you all. And if you think of anything else, let me know. Appreciate you. Bye.